This is Jeff Scott Soto from Soto and Sons of Apollo, and you are watching The Sound Effect. Turn up the volume. You gotta hear it.
Oh, welcome to another show, and thank you for watching. And guess who our guest is tonight?
Do you know who he is?
Me?
Guess who? You can guess who is it?
It's Johnny. All right.
Yes, you do.
I'm Todd T. Riley.
I'm Scott Johnston.
And I'm Michelle Bench Novak.
And we are
The Sound Effect.
And, of course, our man behind the scenes, Mr. Doug. Thank you for all you do there, Dougie. Appreciate you, my brother.
Dougie.
And over the last couple of shows, we've had a two-part interview with our guest tonight. So be sure to check that out later if you missed it, because we have live in the studio with us the Mountain King himself tonight, Mr. John Oliva of Savatage, Dr. Butcher, John Oliva's Pain, and the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Welcome, John. Thanks for being here tonight, my friend.
Well, I have too many bands.
I don't know.
It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Can you ever have too many bands, John? I don't know. So we're going to be doing things a little bit different for you tonight.
Okay.
So make sure, well, for you too, John. So make sure that you get your questions ready for John. We'll be asking him in just a little bit. We're going to be skipping the news and the birthdays and such, and we're going to get right into talking with John. Look at that.
We're doing a special show just for you.
I weep for the future.
It's all about you tonight, my friend.
It absolutely is. Although we will be having our new music showcase coming up later in the show tonight as well, so you won't want to miss that. So stick around.
Very cool. Well, the other thing I'd like to also say is you can still get in your votes for our Facebook poll. And what we have going on tonight is which one did you like better? Which Savatage album do you like better? Gutter Ballet or Streets, a rock opera?
That's a tough one, man.
That
was tough.
That's very tough.
Wow.
You guys will need a little bit of time to think on that one.
That's a toughie.
It really is. Really is. So be sure to check in, and you'll be sharing the results of that just a little bit later today.
Yeah, for sure. Let's just go right ahead and get into what events are going on real quick, and then just get to talking to John. So,
cool.
Hit it there, Scott. Give him the events, my brother. We're not going to play our videos.
So we have Janet Jackson's 30th anniversary album.
Celebrating the Rhythm Nation, yeah.
Rhythm Nation. I mean, that's, I don't have it, but... I'm sure somebody will
Thanks for
probably get
making
that
me
for
feel
me.
really old
It's
when you said the
actually
30th. I loved that album.
That's a great album, yeah.
I don't think I have that one either.
Why does this not
So we
surprise
got-
me, John? I don't
so we
think
got,
I'm surprised by
Peter
that.
Frampton, the farewell tour for Ozzy Osbourne is that's going to be another one that.
I just saw Peter Frampton Saturday night, and it was a spectacular show. Spectacular.
Peter
Absolutely.
Frampton's a great guitarist.
Yeah, I mean, if he's coming to your area, you got to go check him out because that boy can play
Well,
guitar.
why didn't you tell me he was here?
You
I
didn't
would have
know?
come with you.
Why didn't you know?
It's too
I don't
busy.
know.
So I mean, you got ZZ
But yeah,
Top,
he was spectacular,
Queen.
man. So yeah.
A lot of stuff going on. The Who, moving on tour. Disturbed, they're here. Jason Bieler and Jeff Scott Soto, and of course TSO.
Yeah. The Jason Bieler and Jeff Scott Soto is going to be at the Attic here in Tampa in Ybor actually on October 18th, and then of course TSO just announced their new winter tour. They're going to be Sunday, December 15th at Amalie Arena.
Wow.
Thanks
so
to this
cool.
guy right here.
Yep.
That's going to be a pretty awesome thing. So be sure to check out those venues in your area see when these bands are coming. Check out their websites, all their stuff. So our guest tonight, as you know, here in the studio, we recently talked to him, and he let us know what was going on and what he's been doing lately. He also played some song for us, and we might actually play one of those clips for you a little later on. We'll let you know. So, but that was over the last couple of shows. We did a two-part interview with him, so check that out if you've missed it. But otherwise, we have him live in the studio with us. Actually the most talented musician that I personally know, the man behind Savatage, Dr. Butcher, John Oliva's Pain, and the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. My good friend, Mr. John Oliva. Welcome back, my brother.
Well,
Thanks.
I'm actually not the man behind the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. That's Paul.
Well, that was Paul, yes, but you were the music man
but
behind it.
he, I loved to work with him. He was a great man, great talent.
Absolutely.
You took care of a lot of stuff that you probably didn't even.
He taught
think
me.
about
That
twice.
man taught me so much. He really did. And I used to hate writing lyrics. I hated it.
Why? I mean,
Because they sucked. And then when I met him, he just brought a whole new, to me and my brother Chris, he just brought a whole new dimension to everything we did. Words I would just like look at my brother and go, can I swear on this?
Yeah.
I
prefer you
where
don't,
the
but-
fuck did he come up with this shit? Because it was just brilliant, and I was like, I remember Chris like always elbowing me going like, what planet did this guy come from? Yeah. But I miss him very much. I love him very much. And I miss my brother too, but it was the three of us that, did the Savatage thing, and the TSO thing was, Paul and his wife Desiree's idea. I was the first one that they woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Said, we have this great idea. And I was like, okay. And then they explained it to me, both of them on the phone. And I was like, okay. And then it's, so I was like, it was Paul and Desiree's idea of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but I was the first victim. I was the first one. They're like, "Oh, we want you to
your thumbs up."
Right, and I was like, and everything since that day has been wonderful.
Nice.
So I owe them a lot. I owe the both of them everything, actually.
That's awesome, man.
We've already got a lot of people tuning in, and we weren't even on here long, and we've already got one question for you.
Well, and that's just it.
I mean, right when we popped on.
We'll have to go through them as we go. And
Yeah.
Might as well get at it as
I don't have a date or nothing, so I'm good.
Right?
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and throw the first one out here. It's from Steve Lene, and it says, John, are you in the works of a solo album with multiple guest appearances? Rumor has it.
Probably.
Ah.
Well, yeah, no, I am working on some solo material. Now, as far as guests go, I don't know because I kind of like want to do it all by myself, but I'm not. I don't know. I don't think I'm good enough of a player anymore to be able to do it all by myself. So I'm going to have to kidnap some people to help me finish it. But it's really good. I love it.
I think that's great, and it's really ironic for you to sit here and say you don't think you're good enough.
Yeah, right.
I'm sitting here going, really? I mean, are you're in agreement with me on that?
I'm in total agreement
A lot
with
of
you.
musicians don't think, hey, my stuff is the best, or a lot of people that have a lower self-esteem, believe it or not, are musicians.
I'm a very humble man. I mean, I love what I do, and I can tell now when I write something that's good. But I hear stuff. I hear everything in my head before it's even recorded.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff I hear that I'm just like, well, there's no way you're playing that. You'd have to like hire somebody to come in and do that one for you. But, that's okay. I'll get by, But I am working on stuff, and, I've got like 60 songs.
Wow.
Nice.
It might be a matter of just getting with somebody and listening to stuff and go,
Well,
all
I'm
right,
going to
well,
have to
that's that,
kidnap.
that's that.
I'm going to have to kidnap a bunch of people and just hold them hostage until I get it done.
That's
I'm
not always
sure
a bad thing, though.
Not
Well,
many
I'm
of them
not
are going
lying
to
to you
complain.
either. I am going to do that.
As long as there's midgets and cocaine, I guess everybody will be fine.
Well,
Midgets and cocaine.
I stopped doing cocaine 3 minutes ago. So, now, as far as abusing midgets,
No,
I'm good to
abuse,
do
yeah.
that for a little while longer. But no, I don't do that anymore. I did in the '80s. As a matter of fact, I don't remember the '80s. Well, I remember a little bit.
Well,
about
you
it.
did it right then. You did it right then. If you could remember the '80s, and you
I
weren't
did
experiencing it.
enough cocaine in the '80s to frost Mount Everest. But those days are over now, and I'm glad because I do feel a lot better. And I don't have a halo over my head. Well, I do, but it has a lot of duct tape around it. But it's like, you grow up, in this business, you have to grow up at a time, and I did. And I was like, you know what, dude, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And I was like weighing out, going like, all right, do more or die. No, living kind of like one out on it. So
Yeah, it's kind of If you're gonna.
I mean,
be
it was
around, you might
fun.
as well
Back
be-
in the day, it was fun. I had a lot of fun. I had so much fucking fun I can't remember.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Were you guys recording? Oh, okay. Well,
It's a good thing they didn't have the technology that they have now, like where you find the photos that
You'd
you
be
don't
in
remember
jail.
taking. You're like, where the hell did that come from? You
Well,
know?
I have
Kinda
seen
scares
some
you.
special photos that I don't want to talk about.
I bet you have.
We
They
probably
just
don't want to know
surface
about.
every now and then. You know? No, you don't want to know.
Is that a head or? Ooh.
No, it was mostly boobs.
Oh, okay. Well, that's, how bad can it be? You know. I mean,
Well, you know,
I
I
won't
was
be-
young. I was
we won't
young.
go in
I
that
had
direction.
fun. It was we lived. Savatage lived the lifestyle. When we were in our 20s, we were just young guys. Only thing we knew was playing in beer bars in front of 150 people.
Yeah.
Next thing we know, we're playing in front of 20,000 people with Ronnie Dio and Megadeth and stuff. And
Wow.
it was like, whoosh, whoa,
yeah.
this
no
is
doubt.
cool. I think I can hang with this. you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
But it got out of control. Like, you know, everybody, when you're in your early 20s, you don't know what you're doing. You're just like, oh, I'm a rock star. Yay. I'm going to be rich forever. No. You're not going to be
Doesn't
rich
quite
at
work
all
like
because
that.
you're spending all your money on stupid shit.
Like that pack of smokes you just got.
Right. So we learned our lesson, you know, and we went down to the bottom until we met Paul. And when we met Paul in 1985, end of 85, 86, he saved us. You know, we were breaking up. It was over.
Was it really?
Yeah. I mean, we did that show at the Ritz in Ybor City. It was our last show. And that was the night that we met Paul. And Paul had brought me and Chris to, I think it was Perkins' breakfast house at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And he was like, listen, you guys are not breaking up. You guys are doing this. You know, that man gave us a bunch of money, paid all our bills. We were broke. We had nothing. Paid all our bills, got us a studio, bought us all new equipment, and never asked for 1 penny back.
He believed in you guys.
Yeah,
you know?
he did.
Right.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I remember him saying to me and my brother Chris, he says, listen, all I ask is I want to write with you guys.
Nice.
And I was like, you're in. You are so in. You are more than in. And it was the smartest thing I ever did because the man was brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, he was
Wow.
brilliant. And he brought a whole new dimension to Savatage. He showed us, you guys you don't have to be in this box.
Right.
You can expand. John, you play piano. You got to do more piano stuff like Freddie Mercury from Queen. That's like when Gutter Ballet and all that stuff. That was all Paul going like, hey, come on, crank it up a notch. You guys can do this. And, you know, and Streets, you know, the album Streets, it was another thing like that where he was just like, no, we're going to do something that's special. And it was, you know, and it's my favorite Savatage album,
Yeah.
you know, still to this day because every song says something and has a deep meaning. And I also think it's the best album my brother Chris ever played on. The solos that he did on that were just like,
Yeah. They're incredible.
I just remember sitting in the studio with Paul and Paul going like, should we have him do another
Yeah,
take?
do another take.
And I'm like, well, you asked
Yeah,
him.
you be the one that does that.
And Paul would like click on the talkback and go, Chris, you want to do another take? And he'd go like, fuck no, I'm not. And then Paul would click the thing off and look at me and go like, well, that was great, wasn't it? I'm like, yeah, let's go with it. That's the way we worked. The three of us had a very close work. We trusted each other. You know?
Well, that's good considering. I mean, you're a great musician and songwriter already. You know, so to have somebody like that you could even springboard more off of is great.
I'm sure that
pushed the
probably
envelope.
helped improve your
Oh, absolutely.
your abilities. And
He
your
used to
songwriting.
give me these lyrics, and I would sit there and look at him and go like, okay, right. maybe you should change. No, I'm not going to say it. Change anything, you know. But then what he used to do is he would like write a great set of lyrics, and I would sit there and look at him and go and sing to them, and then the next day, he would give me like 3 more sets of the same lyrics, but he would only change like a couple words, and I'd be like, well, what?
Yeah, what did you change?
Well, no, this is better.
Yeah.
And he was, you know, the thing about him, he was always right when it came to that. You know, I sang the song Believe 307 times.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. One of my
And
favorites.
he would give me the tapes at night and go, John, listen to the way that you sang track 2. Or listen. And I would sit there, and I couldn't hear any difference in it.
Yeah, your ears start to...
Right. I was just like, well, it all... And then I would say, like, all right, Paul, you know, and then he would do it, and he was always right. You know, he would comp them together, take 6 to take 13 to take, you know, I mean, the man had the patience of stone. I don't know where he got them from.
That's good. I mean, you know, for some of us, we could push that.
He made me a way better singer than I ever was.
Awesome. Awesome. When did he come in? Which album?
Hall of the Mountain
All the
King.
Mountain King. That's what I thought.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of questions popping up in here, so I went
fire
back
Let's
to
go.
one of them. Yeah, so this one's from Dario, and he says, "My name is Dario. I'm from Sicily, and I was in the very first row at Wacken, right in front of you to witness the best show of my life. Thank you for being the greatest songwriter alive and the brother of the best metal guitarist ever. Years ago, you spoke of the road to Siberia." An upcoming collection of unreleased Savatage stuff, including alternate versions of songs, different takes of Chris solos, video footage of 2 shows with Chris. Will we see such an awesome Savatage collection? And what about a Wacken release?
Well, I mean, I've seen the Wacken stuff, and that's a possibility. You know, we have a lot of stuff on our plate right now. We have a lot of projects for TSO. And we do have a lot of Savatage footage and things like that, but it's like, you know, we have so much stuff. It's like the people like Desi and Ireland and me and Al, and we have to sit down and figure out what we're gonna do next, because we have so much great stuff. It's hard to like. You know, it's hard to like
choose what you're gonna do,
choose what
right?
you're gonna do, because, you know, if you had something that sucked, it would be easy to like elbow that out.
Yeah, let's not worry about that.
Right, but everything is great, and it's like, you know, we're figuring it out. You know, we're looking at things going like, what should we do next, and we'll come up with it, and it'll be great. Now, as far as that guy's question, I don't know. I never rule anything out. So stand by.
Stand by, Dario.
Got a question from Bill Luddington. He says, "Is the rumor true that you were asked to be the singer of Black Sabbath?"
Yes.
Yeah.
In 1986, when we did the Fight for the Rock album.
Fight for the Nightmare.
Yeah, we always call it that. And actually, what happened was my brother Chris had a offer to play with Megadeth.
Nice.
Oh.
And I had an offer to audition for Black Sabbath in California. And I had a song list, a plane ticket, and that was around the time we met Paul, and Paul was like, nope, you're not going. We're not. And he told the same thing to Chris. He's like, nope, we're keeping this band together, and this is what we're going to do. And I was like, you know, I believed in him, because I knew he believed in us.
Right.
And so we just, you know, canned it. And then Paul got Ian, what was his name? Ray Gillen. He got Ray Gillen from Badlands to audition for Sabbath, and they took him. And I don't know what happened with the Megadeth thing, but Paul kept Savatage together.
Yeah.
And because he believed in us, and we were very happy, because me and my brother didn't want to split up. You
Sure.
know?
Of course not.
But it was all Paul. Paul kept us together. He's like, no, you guys got a magic together, and I
do.
want to be part of
Yeah.
it.
You sure did.
And he became a major part of it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had the audition. I knew I would have got it.
Nice.
Very cool.
What else we got? We got anything else? That's
This one's pretty simple. It's from Ace. John, what's your favorite beer?
Beer.
No particular one. Just anything.
Yeah, I don't really like beer. You know, I'm not a beer guy.
I'm really not a beer guy either.
Now, if they asked me what my favorite, vodka was, that would be different.
Now you're speaking my language. What's your favorite vodka?
Strong.
I saw a meme the other day,
without any hands.
and it suited me for the other night. It said, "I drank so much vodka last night, I woke up speaking Russian." That was me.
Oh, there you go. That's funny.
Sometimes I drink so much vodka I don't even wake up.
Well, glad that didn't happen today, John.
No. I don't really drink that much anymore.
Yeah.
I might slip now and then, like tonight. I mean,
Every time you come on our show, just
I didn't drink anything today except water.
So Tony Kona from WMNF's rock show, The Dream Clinic, said you were on the show with him back in 2012, just before JOP went on tour in Europe that year, and just before your performance in the States at the Ritz in Ybor. He's wondering, do you have a next solo CD that's going to be done with JOP? Or are you going to be doing anything else?
No, the JOP thing is over. I loved all those guys. It was fun. But, my dedication now is to Trans-Siberian Orchestra, especially after Paul passed away. Rest in peace. I love you. I owe that man. Yeah. I owe him, to keep everything going. And working with Desiree and Ireland and our organization, we all owe it to him, because I don't want his music to die. And the music that I worked on with him, I don't want that to die. It's too good. Yep. So all that other stuff, it's like, it was fun, but if I was 35, I'd say like, I'm going out on tour. But sorry, it's not going to happen.
This one's just a statement. It's from Nick Gustafson. It says, "I hope you've seen my Savatage Lives page. We love you, dude."
I have not seen that.
Yeah, so there's a link on there to that. And then Paul wants to know if you would consider a residency.
A residency?
I guess
at his house? Or
I think like Vegas, maybe.
maybe.
Maybe he's offering to,
move into my house and perform.
Sounds to me like he's trying to get something going on here.
I honestly can't. I don't think I could see you doing
I'm not
that.
into that. I haven't been gay in days.
Uh-oh. In days?
Weeks.
Scott, I just am thinking that we're not going to have to make Todd shake his head. John is
John's
great.
Todd has not shook his head at all. He's just looking at me going, oh my God, what did I get into?
For if you want to even call it blooper reels, we're a perfect one as soon as you ask them about swearing. And
he goes, we prefer you don't.
We're not on regular TV,
well,
right?
Well, now we can't.
No,
Well,
but we're hoping to.
John, I actually got him to throw. Scott and I got him to throw his hands up in the air. Do you remember on the Chubby when we were talking about the twist?
Yeah.
He threw his hands up in the air on that
Yeah,
one.
well,
Yeah, that was the best one
job
ever.
well
Gave up on that one, did you?
Yeah, it's cool because he's caught in the middle of us, John, and
Yeah,
now
kinda stuck
you're
there.
on this side as well. It's
I
awesome.
like being on the side next to you. It's
Well,
cool.
well, thank you.
Because I
like
could just
that
go
as
to
well.
him and go, say hi to the people.
So we got Krister from Norway.
Norway.
Yeah, he
Cool
had a question
place.
here for you.
Very
Is there
cold.
any chance to see you in Europe, perhaps performing an acoustic set or something ever again? And he said from the deep bottom of his heart.
You have about as much chance of that as me winning the Victoria's Secret swimsuit model contest.
Oh man!
In other words, that's not going to happen.
probably not
Sorry.
gonna
No,
happen.
it's not. It's like. Look, I love Europe and I love all the fans there, but first of all, I'm terrified of flying, and second of all, I'm afraid of terrorists and all that stuff, and I don't. When I went to Wacken in 2015, they had to drug me
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, because I was like freaking out, so I slept. I woke up when the plane was going on the
So
runway.
somebody actually
that's the
suggested
one you
you
got
do drugs
zapped on.
instead of you
You know,
just
this
going
is
for it.
Well, no, I was very capable of doing that on my own, you know. But.
so that must have been really difficult for you touring. And for those of you that don't know my alter ego, I am a flight attendant. So we actually, I can see right when people come on the plane, you can see it in their face, and it's very common. It's a lot, you know.
I hate flying. I've almost been in 2 or 3 plane crashes.
Are they the smaller planes?
Well, yeah. Oh boy, I could tell you stories.
Yeah, because those even make me a little nervous
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
You know, the
yeah.
little tiny ones. You know, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I
the
will
other-
not fly a prop plane. Oh, we're going to fly this prop plane from Sao Paulo to Rio de Janeiro. And
Wow.
the plane's going down the runway, and the end of the runway is a mountain.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness.
Oh yeah.
And we're going, and the pilot comes and goes, well, we're a little bit overweight. And I'm looking, going like, oh, I ain't getting off. You know? And the plane, this is a true story. The plane goes down the runway, and Johnny Middleton is sitting right next to me. I'm in the window seat. He's in the plane goes down the runway, and it gets off the runway, and it goes,
Oh, no.
And Johnny Middleton, he turns around, he goes, dude, we don't get paid enough for this shit. But we made it, you know.
Yeah.
These are true stories. I can't make stuff like this up.
No,
Oh, that's great.
no. You know, we're getting a lot of questions, aren't
Well,
we? You
that's-
know, people are very
Bang away.
excited that you're here. Yeah.
I'm not
Real,
going
real
nowhere.
quick though, Krister, who just asked that question, he said from the deep bottom of his heart, he wants to say thank you so much for the music, and he said you're a pure genius.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm just trying to be funny.
and
I
for
don't know.
whatever
I'm
it's
not a
worth-
good comedian anymore. I used to be.
I mean, for whatever it's worth, though, that was like one of your favorite gigs, though, overseas.
Well, yeah. I mean, I loved it.
Especially when, you know, well, the one that you got zapped at, unfortunately.
Oh, the Wacken thing.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I got scars on my hands from it.
I mean, he got nailed.
Oh yeah.
He got nailed.
It was the
Now
wind.
that's
It wasn't.
metal.
It was
Wow.
the wind.
Right.
Because as soon as those fire bombs went off, the wind blew them right into my hands, and I'm like,
Damn.
"Oh shit, my hands are on fire! Ow! Ow!"
That's metal.
But I took one for the team. You know, we all did. I felt bad for Paul at that show because we had the 2 stages going, and poor Paul. It was raining, and there was mud up to your knees, and poor Paul was running back and forth, trying to get and you know what? He did it. He got it to work.
Yeah.
And then by the time we went out on stage, I was like, I'm freezing. It was like 37 degrees in July.
Oh, yeah.
And rain. There's 120,000 people out there, and nobody left. You know.
Wow.
And we went out and we did the Savatage thing and then the TSO thing, and then we had both stages going at the same time. That's when I got lit on fire. Yeah, it's all right. It was worth it.
Yeah.
What else you got there, Michelle?
We got a question from Ken Bowser. It says, I always wondered why some of the lyrics to When the Crowds Are Gone were reused in Believe. Then portions of the lyrics to Believe were reused in Alone You Breathe. Can you give us any insight on this?
No.
As a matter of fact, I didn't know they're the same until now. What? Damn it! I knew they sounded familiar.
Well, they were all Paul's lyrics. So like I'm going to take any blame for it, but they were all Paul's lyrics, and I think what he was doing in those particular situations was they worked in the other material. Sure. So in like a lot of albums, you do reprises. You know, the Beatles did it, the Who has done it, everybody's done it. And I think that was Paul's idea, was just to reprise, you know, certain lyrics that, and they were great lines. I mean, they were great lines, and they fit. Everywhere we put them, they fit. I remember asking him, going, why are we using the same words? And he goes, because they're great. I'm like, all right.
There you go.
No problem.
There you go.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, and they were, and they worked, you know. And that's the answer, you know.
There you go. And we got one from Evandro Silva, and this says, Hey, John, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the songs you and your brother made. You and Chris changed my life, and I'm only 21 years old. My question is, after Chris's death, did you keep in touch with Don? Hugs from Brazil, and he's watching us from Brazil, so thanks for that.
Yeah. So how old was this guy when he heard Savatage? Like 2?
I think maybe.
Early.
Maybe in the womb? I don't know. Maybe in the thought?
After Chris died, yeah, I mean, we stayed in touch with Dawn as long as we could, but, you know, I mean, she was messed up after that accident as well.
Yeah.
And didn't make it, which is very unfortunate. And, you know, it was just sad, you know, because it was so unnecessary, you know. And it was just very sad. But, yeah, my wife especially, she was very close with Dawn and did stay in touch with her a lot. But then Dawn, you know, I don't think she could handle living without Chris. And she just started sliding down that hill. And once somebody gets down that hill, there's really not much you can do, you know.
You know, I don't think anything can prepare you for... I lost my sibling young, too. I mean, I lost him early, too, and it was very shocking and very unexpected. And
yeah.
What can prepare you for that? I mean, there's just nothing, you know.
I mean, when I lost my brother Chris, I felt like my right arm was chopped off.
I did as well. Yeah, it's
and
horrible.
then when I lost Paul, I felt like my left arm was chopped off. So now I'm like, you know, I have my 2 closest people. You know, Paul was my best friend in the world, and Chris was my brother. Yeah. And I lost both of them.
You said Paul was kind of like a father to you.
More than a father. He was a teacher, a father, a wonderful, generous man. And I owe a lot to that man.
Yeah.
I think just keeping this alive for everyone and continuing that vision that you all created is the best tribute you could ever pay to him. I mean, it's going to live on, you know. And speaking of that, John, did you ever envision when you got that wake-up call that this thing was going to become so huge, you know?
That was this whole Trans-Siberian Orchestra thing to me was like, what? I mean, it just took me by surprise. But Desiree and Paul were the ones who convinced me. It's like, no, this is going to work. And I was like, well, I believed them because they were my family. You know, I'm sorry I have a...
You're fine.
And they were right, you know. And I thank them very much for that because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those 2 people.
That's incredible. Yeah, and it's just a great thing. And we're getting so many questions popping in here. Are you seeing that as well over there?
Yeah.
Todd? I don't know if you've got one you want to share, or if you want me to go ahead and keep going here. So
yeah,
Nick, I mean,
Nick Gustafson. Yeah, he wanted to know, what was your favorite Savatage tour? He said he saw Streets in 1992, and he met you back then, and he also saw the 2002 Poets in Maryland, I believe it was, or Minnesota rather. So, what is your favorite Savatage tour?
Wow, that's a tough one. I would have to say the tour we did with Testament. With Testament, and I think it was 88, 87, 88. You know, it was Testament, and that was fun because it was a long tour, and we had a great time. You know. Oh, thank you. Water. Good.
That's vodka.
No, that's water.
Oh, okay.
You know, but we had a great time on that tour, and the guys from Testament were great. And I remember Torture in the opening band, Trouble. We had the opening band, Trouble. Great guys. Boy, we used to torture them so bad. But they took it. They were good troopers. And we had that was, to me, was my favorite tour.
Nice.
You know, Streets tour was really good, but that's when I started having serious voice issues. You know, because we were doing 7 days a week.
So was that the Hall of the Mountain King tour then?
No, Hall of the Mountain King
was
tour
that Gutter Ballet?
It was Streets.
That was with.
Oh, you mean the one with Testament was Gutter Ballet?
Okay.
Then Streets. That was a hard one because we had 7, 8 days in a row, and we were at that time we were doing 2.5 hours a night.
Yeah, that takes a wear and tear on you.
Well, yeah.
You know,
I mean, I remember doing the couple last shows. I think it was in North Carolina where I was spitting blood off the side of the stage.
Oh wow.
You know, because and then Paul took me to a doctor, and he was like, "You've got to,
you're gonna hurt yourself."
No, he says you got to take a year off. And that's when we decided to get Zach, because I was still able to write and stuff. And Paul and I wanted to work on other stuff like Romanoff and things like that. And we picked Zach because I wanted somebody that wasn't trying to sound like me. And so we picked Zach, and then we wrote the album around his voice. And, but it took me like a year and a half, almost 2 years before I could sing anything. I couldn't even sing Happy Birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny because the next question was actually, you just answered it. So that was from Ian McCurdy. So there's your answer, Ian.
There you go, Ian.
Yeah, and then Ashley Taylor said, John, we always hear about the people and the artists that inspired you throughout your legendary music career. So who have been some of the artists that said or told you that you were their inspiration?
No one.
There you go, Ashley. No one.
Yeah, no one.
I find that hard to believe.
No.
I do as well.
That's definitely not true.
Well, I've met guys and people in the band said, "Oh, you guys, we love you." Well, I mean, when we met Metallica back in the day before they were Metallica, I remember us playing softball with them, and them coming to one of our shows in San Francisco. I think it was the Stone Pony or something like that. And they were like, I remember me and James Hatfield took a reporter and picked him up and stuffed him head first into a garbage pail full of ice.
Oh, man.
And they loved us and all that stuff. And we, they were nice guys. But, no one ever said anything to me really about that. And I was like, well, that's okay. I don't care. Because it's hard to be, Savatage was very unique and very different.
Yeah. Yeah, great stuff. So,
yeah.
So I got a good one for you. You probably know this guy very well. Incredible artist, Mr. Gary Smith. He says, "Hey, John, glad to see you."
He owes me money.
Been a long time.
Didn't forget that.
He said it's been a long time since we last met at the Chance. Whatever happened to the Broadway play about Savatage, I think it would be killer. And he also said working with you guys in the early 90s was a blast, and your brother's death rocked us all. And it's not just a stagehand, but a fan, and to this day he carries your brother's funeral card in his wallet. And he wants to thank you for the music and the opportunity to work with Savatage and Dr. Butcher and stuff. So.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. And, we've had our run-ins and this and that and all that stuff, but, forgive and forget.
Cool. So what about that Broadway play? Any idea?
I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
Okay, then. There you go. So this one's from Shane. John, I first discovered Savatage when I was 9 years old. My first album I ever bought was Gutter Ballet. I was lucky to see your brother on the Edge of Thorns tour in Chicago when I was 12. You and your brother changed my life. My question is, what is the most frustrating thing about being a musician for you? And what do you do to relax, John?
Lack of money. The most frustrating thing. It takes a lot to be a musician. It takes a lot of dedication and a lot of sacrifice, And, I don't, it's really hard to say. It's like, to be a musician, you have to really have it in your heart. This is what I want to do. I don't care. And you have to have rich parents.
Oh, goodness.
Or a really good job.
And then what do you do to relax, John?
What do I do to relax?
That was part of the question.
Maybe we don't want the answer to that.
I didn't mean that to come out in my 1-900 voice or whatever.
Well,
Sorry about
I can
that.
answer that. I don't relax. So
Yeah, you don't. Just
no,
go,
not
go,
anymore.
go.
Not anymore. No, I don't relax.
Well, there you go.
If you relax, you lose your edge.
Okay.
You know, I'm a pretty on-the-go person as well. Of course, I'm not.
I can tell.
Can you tell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, Todd, your girlfriend asked a question.
Which
My
one?
girlfriend.
Danica.
Hi, Danica.
That's his crush, you know. Danica, you just, if he ever gets like a little tense, I'm just gonna message her and tell her to pop on here, because then his whole demeanor changes. He goes, yeah, yeah, and then when Danica comes on, Johnny's like, hey, Danica.
Hey, baby.
Am I right, Scott? He like totally.
I'm not going to comment on that.
So,
Coward.
so
No, I just,
yeah. It's true, right? So
Yeah.
this is
Yes,
from
it's
her.
true.
John, is that because you're scared of flying that you named the project Trans-Siberian Orchestra?
I didn't name Paul and his wife Desiree came up with the name and the idea.
There you go.
I was just the first one that they called and hired as part of the team. So at first, then it was the two of them that came up with the idea, and I was the first one they called at 4 o'clock in the morning.
they could have waited.
Well, they could have waited till at least 7 in the morning, but and they were and I was like, I was on board from the get-go because I thought it was a brilliant idea.
Right.
And look at what it's done. I mean, it hasn't sucked. You know.
Wow.
No, it sure hasn't.
No, it's incredible. And this one. Here's one for you, John.
Oh boy.
Hey, John. Remember those chicks you were making out with at Network Nightclub in Pasadena, Maryland? John's getting ready to go on, but tongue sessions first. I have no idea what that
I can't
means.
remember that.
John, I don't even know.
What?
I don't know
are you
what.
talking about?
It wasn't me, John. It was Johnny. I have no idea.
Johnny Middleton?
Donnie Canada. Do you know this person?
Well, tell him to Canada off. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, look, now they're
Canada
messing with
off.
you.
How about that?
Now they're
I
messing
had
with
my
you.
tongue in chicks' mouths in like a half hour.
Now my dog's pregnant.
Now your dog's pregnant. It wasn't me. It was probably that guy over there.
See, they heard you say your memory's got some challenges, so they're going, oh yeah, you remember that one time that you said you were gonna borrow me that $1,000?
No.
Yeah. Simple.
I had to read that one because I was like, what? I totally had to do it.
I
So-
learned the lesson: never lend anybody money unless you're lending it to yourself.
That's true.
No laughs on that one. Tough room.
Yeah.
So what did Danica have to say?
She
You said she asked a question.
I
right?
already read it.
I
See,
missed it?
look, he went into a
See,
fog as soon
yeah.
as I mentioned Danica. He
Totally.
didn't even know I read her question. He was like, "What did Danica say? What did she do?" Am I right, Scott? Look at that. John, did you see that? Like his whole demeanor change. I went from being very professional and serious to.
Yeah,
what
he's
did-
hiding something.
Oh, I'm telling you. I just,
So,
I'm not going to even say what I just thought was really bad.
You know, I don't.
Angie Muchmore, who actually sat in on the show here with us and was a guest host for a little while, she wants to know how you feel about making a special appearance at a Gary Muchmore concert memorial
already
thing in
did.
2020.
Already did,
Next year.
but I would do it. Yeah, I loved Gary. You know, he was like a brother to me as well. You know, it's sad that he's not here. I've lost a lot of friends. You know.
Yeah.
You know, Gary, Greg Marchek, Matt Laporte. I mean, God, the list just goes on. You got Kyle Sable, you know, just a bunch of, it's so sad. You know, and I'm like sitting there going like, wow, this is really screwed up. All my friends are dead.
I'm still here.
But you're not my friend.
Yeah,
see,
that's his point, Scott. Hello.
I knew somewhere I set
Still with you,
myself
brother.
up for something there.
That's his point.
It's very sad when people you love pass on, but they're with God.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
They're with God now, you know, and God is what we're all here for. God is everything. And, you know,
Amen, brother.
I believe in that very much because I've had many experiences where I've had things happen to me where it can't be anything but that. That, you know, they're there. They're there. Their spirits are there. And they're looking over you. But it's hard to, like, go through life like, wow, well, I can't call him anymore, or 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 him. You know, you just go down your fingers and you're like, they're all gone. What am I still doing here? You know, because I should have been like the first one to go. But I don't think they just look down from heaven and go like, well,
this is entertaining.
why don't we
going.
keep Oliva down there for a few more years? I don't think we can deal with it. Let's deal with everybody else first. But I have a very strong belief in God. You know, and I know all my friends are okay because they're with God.
Amen, brother.
You know, one of the questions you're asked, you know, what do you like to do to relax or whatever? You know, one thing that we really didn't get into when we were talking before is, you know, just what kind of interest you have. I mean, besides music in general. I mean,
well, I took up the ukulele.
Okay, well, which is okay.
Yeah,
I only got four notes on it.
Music is everything, and I started collecting vinyl albums again.
Oh, there you go.
I'm up to 500 vinyl albums.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
And I'll never listen to a CD ever again.
No.
Because the vinyl sounds so much better. So, I mean, I do that, you know, and I got a mandolin. I bought a mandolin, and I bought a ukulele. And it's just fun, you know, because it's like learning something different. And, you know, I sit there, una canuna banca.
So you're cranking out your favorite SpongeBob tunes.
My wife hates the ukulele. She told me she's going to feed it to the dog.
And now that you
My
mentioned
dog has that
vinyl,
one
we
on.
have a question about that. Marcello said, or Marcello, I'm not sure. Do you know if Dead Winter Dead and A Handful of Rain will be released on vinyl? So there you go.
The only Savatage I have on vinyl is Sirens, Power of the Night. Sirens, Power of the Night.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, that's the only ones I. Oh no. Well, no. Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
It's the only ones I can find.
When we were talking to Steve before, he mentioned that you guys both live on the same mountain.
No.
No, that's Middleton. And
Oh,
Middleton.
okay.
yeah.
For some reason, because I know we never brought that up before. Figure you would have said something.
There's no way I would ever live on the same mountain with Steve Wackles and Johnny Lehman. Even though I love them both dearly, I don't love them that much.
You stay on your side of the mountain, I'll stay on mine.
Yeah.
So this one brings back some memories. Mark Petrie,
Oh,
coast
boy.
to coast
Hey,
rehearsal
Bubba.
studios. So it kept a few above water back in the day. So he said he misses you. So
Yeah, because I used to buy him beer all the time.
and he said he remembers, you know, the albums you were writing there and stuff when Zach first came in and the beginnings of some greatness.
He was a nice guy. He was a little twisted at that time, but
yeah,
weren't we all?
yeah, that was good times. Well, that was when you and I first were hanging out.
Was
a
that
ton.
when we first met? Was that
we
coast,
met? No,
close
we
to
met
closed
before that.
place, or-
We met at ML Chasers, and then we started hanging out at Close to Closed.
I remember ML Chase. I got arrested there
ML
once.
Yeah, we
Chasers.
were talking about
oh my
that on
gosh,
the-
right?
It's when
The
I
last
threw the
interview with you.
midget
Yeah.
off the stage. Yeah. It
So,
wasn't one of my better moves, you know.
so
But it's
somebody-
definitely entertaining.
It's funny because you're telling something crazy. So here we go. Someone wants to know if you can tell a crazy, funny story that involves you and Chris.
Oh my God! Out of about 10,000 of them, one of the funniest ones was when we were on tour with Megadeth, and Chris had a hotel room across the hall from mine, and I was in my hotel room with the door, and Mustaine came into the hotel room, and there was some girl in there, and he thought I was. So you make a long story short, he kind of like grabbed a blow dryer off of my thing and kind of came at me with it. So I grabbed him by the crotch and the throat, and threw him out the door, and he hit Chris's door with his head. And this is my favorite Chris Oliva story. My brother Chris opens the door and looks down, and Mustaine is going there. Yeah, the mountain. My brother Chris just went like, and slammed the door.
Oh, shit.
And hit him in the back of the head and gave him a concussion.
No way.
Oh no.
Who do you think got in trouble for that?
Of course you're gonna.
But it was all Chris's fault. I'll never forget the look, because Mustaine is laying there, and Chris just opens his door and just looks down and goes, and goes boom, and slams the door.
Man.
And bam, hits him in the back of the head and gave him a concussion.
How come I got hit in the head on that one?
Well, that's a good story.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Can't make
was
shit
good.
like this up, folks.
So Stephen Adams says, greetings from Indian Trail, North Carolina. And will you make any impromptu appearances with TSO this year?
I don't know. You know, my position with TSO right now is more of a writer and a working with the talent and stuff like that. But you never know. I mean, I wouldn't mind going up and doing a song here or there, but I don't, you know, it would, you know, all that matters to me is keeping TSO going,
Right.
keeping Paul's music and my music alive, because it makes a lot of people very happy.
Yeah, for sure.
And every year, if you look at it, every year, it just keeps growing.
Oh, yeah.
You
I mean,
know.
every year, for years
You know,
now,
I
it's
see
been like
kids,
number
it's
one
like going to
concert.
the circus. It's like I see kids from 4 years old to people 84 years old.
Right.
You know, no rock band has that, or no band has that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Draw, well, or that kind
widespread
of
appeal across.
widespread
Yeah, the
fan
demographic that it covers
Because
everyone.
Crossover
the music
appeal.
crosses over to all ages.
Right.
That was the brilliance.
That is
of,
brilliant.
brilliance of Paul's lyrics and his stories. It's like they crossed over to where, you know, I mean, I go out there at these shows and I see these little kids and they're all going crazy, and then I see like 80-year-old grandmas, you know, shaking their nightsticks around.
I was going to say, not her bra.
No, thank you.
Come on, Granny, put those back.
But it's just, you know, I mean, it just shows you the depth of what his vision was. His vision was never to be boxed into where we only had 18-year-old to 25-year-olds. His thing was like, no, we want everybody. And we got him. And that's why we're still around.
Right. For sure.
So we just got a couple statements here. One is Natasha said Todd is blushing. So this must have been back when we were talking about Danica. So
Of course
yeah,
it was.
Natasha, you're right. He was blushing. And then this one says from Steven, I'm stealing Kanata off. That'll make people scratch their heads. So, so there you go. And you don't count, Scott. I'm not sure what that meant, but there you go.
I count a lot more than you realize.
And
There we go.
Angie
He
Moore
does.
said
I
she
need
loves
him
you.
over
There's
here.
a lot behind the scenes you don't know about.
Yes.
I'm not
Why
wearing
is
any
everybody
pants.
picking on Scott? What did he do?
Nothing yet, but just wait. It will happen. So we're getting some questions about the way you write music. So do you create the composition or the lyrics first? And then the next question is related to that as well. It says, John, I love you. Such a big inspiration for me and my band. What do you suggest to compose a song in the best way possible? So,
Well, I mean, I basically hear stuff in my head, and then I'll go to the piano or the guitar and I'll play it, and I can usually hear a melody line, like a vocal line, but no words or nothing, but just like da, da, da. And that's how I start. But usually it's the music first. And then if it's something that, and I always do this, if I don't remember it, then it's not that good. But if I remember it the next day, then I'm like, and that's how I do it. So I would just say, like, you'll know if it's good or not. What are you doing? I mean,
He's doing some
you'll know
mic
if it's good
adjusting.
or not. You know, it's like, but my way is the music first.
Right.
The melody line and the words I never liked. That's why I was so fortunate to have Paul O'Neill, because he was such a great lyricist.
Yeah.
I hated
Considering you
writing
didn't like lyrics. Or
I
didn't really
hated
care for
writing lyrics. I was like, I mean, look at some of the lyrics I wrote. Necrophilia. Yeah, that was good. And then, then Paul O'Neill writes like Believe or If I Go Away, and the lyrics like Gutter Ballet. I'm like, you know what? I think I got an idea. You do all the lyrics. And because I never liked it. It was always a toil for me, always a struggle. But music just comes. It's got to come from your heart. You can't think of it.
That's one of the things, and I mean, I don't know if that was one of your preferred ways of doing it, but when you're learning things from in your head, you hear a melody line. Nice thing about that is you're not tied down to the chords and progression. You already know.
Exactly, because no one's heard it but you.
Right.
So I mean, in some ways, not even having your instrument in your hand is a good thing, because that's feel.
I hear a lot of stuff when I'm driving.
Yeah.
And I'll have the radio won't even be on, and I'll just hear something like, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. And I'll grab my phone and go,
yeah, absolutely.
Until I can get to an instrument, and that's a lot of the way I do it. It all has to come from your heart. Music is not something you can do by the book.
And yeah, I mean, feeling is not supposed to be felt the exact same way each time.
You're exactly right.
So if you got a sad song,
for the first time on this show tonight, you are exactly right.
All right. Well, it's the only one that counted, right?
but that but anybody that is the truth about writing. You have to write. You have to have it in your heart, in your soul.
Sure.
You have to be able to hear it. Now, I've been blessed with this gift of, if I come up with a chord, I can hear it all finished in my head. I can hear the strings. I can hear the drums. I can hear everything.
Harmony parts that aren't there to the rest of the ears.
Yeah,
but you can hear
but
it.
I can hear it all, and I'm like, oh, this is good. But now the problem is then
making that
you
come
have to,
down.
Yeah, you're gonna have
you
to
have
do
to
it.
remember that hours later. Like,
Yeah.
what was I thinking about?
That's right.
God,
Got to record everything.
Yeah, and then putting it down.
Yeah.
Right. I remember sitting with you when you were doing the Edge of Thorns, and just it was an honor to sit there and watch you write and record these parts and just lay them down and create that album, and it really taught me a lot as a musician myself on how to really sit down and go through the process of doing pre-production. And it made me understand how important pre-production of writing an album really was.
Pre-production is crucial.
Yeah, it was
critical. It's crucial.
Yeah.
You have to do it. No one wants to do it, believe me. If I play Hall of the Mountain King one more time, I'm going to hurt people. But when we were doing that song, I mean, oh my God, we rehearsed that song for 2-3 weeks, to the point where I was like, I hate this song. I'm not ever playing it ever again. And we hadn't even released it yet.
Oh, goodness.
But you come, and then that's when, Paul did a lot of that, teaching us a lot about pre-production and how important it was. And he would always say, like, oh, I love you. He'd always kind of go like, nope, we can make it better. And I'd be like, so I was like, what are we going to do to make it better? But then again, he was always right. He would always say to me, he goes, John, let's just peek at it. And I go, I'm peeking. I'm sick of peeking. What are we? But he was always right, he taught me a lot about that. Pre-production is incredibly important.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's an interesting one. So this is from Shane. It says, my daughter's 6 years old. She's watching.
Sorry.
Marlene wanted to say goodnight, John. She has a bit of a silly question. Have you ever been to Disney World?
About 10,000 times.
So that was pretty cute. So yeah.
I love Disney World.
I do too.
Disneyland, Disney World, Disney, everything.
So you got a question from Brandon Bancroft.
Who are all
based
these
on
people?
some
You
of
got a lot of people.
your fans, that's who.
You got a lot, John. A lot coming on here.
based on some of your songs and some of your lyrics in various songs and everything, he says, what is your religious background and story? He said he knows you believe in God, but what's your story of your beliefs? You know, would your parents raise you?
I was born Roman Catholic, and I went to Catholic school when I was a kid, but I got kicked out in the 3rd grade for punching a nun. I have.
She wouldn't sell me any weed. You know, what was I gonna do?
I was only 3. They locked me in the boiler room, and I was afraid of the dark. So my mother took me out of there. But no, I mean, religion to me has been very weird. I believe in God. I believe that God is our Savior. I believe in God, Jesus Christ, all that, because I've had too many experiences personally for me not to believe in that.
Amen.
And I'm not, I'm not going like, I'm like like a Mormon or a Jehovah's Witness.
You're not going to knock on my door and
I
tell
mean,
me about it tomorrow morning.
But
You might.
But I have my belief, and that's my
gotta
belief.
be like, come on in, have a beer.
And certain people in my life
God
have
can.
helped me to understand that. But I've had experiences where I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of dying or afraid of death, because I believe it's like getting out of one car and getting into another. Your soul and your spirit lives on, and, I think a lot of things bad have happened over the years in the name of the church, in the name of Christ and everything like that. But the world is full of good and bad, just like everything else. But God is there, I know it. I'm sure of it. And I know when I die, I'm going to go up there. And then when I get up there, I'm going to beat Paul and Chris Oliva's ass.
I'm right there with you, brother.
So here's one from Travis Floyd. In this digital age of music, what platform should I purchase my music from to maximize your royalties to upgrade my Savatage collection, John?
Just buy everything like 10,000 times. And I may be able to afford a washing machine or something.
Interesting.
So
you guys didn't think you were going to get the funny John tonight, right?
I knew that was coming, man.
Yeah, well.
I've hung out with you enough times to know that.
I'm having fun. This
So
is
Dario
great.
wants to know what Trans-Siberian Orchestra project's likely to be released next. Romanoff, Gutter Ballet, album or stage production, Fairy Tale Moon.
Well, we have a lot of Trans-Siberian Orchestra projects that are ready to go. Our thing is we have to sit down and decide which one we're going to go with next. And when you get to September every year with us, everything stops and we focus on the winter tour. Okay, because that's like, so, but we have talked about, I've talked about it with Desiree, with Ireland, with The Office, with Al, with everybody. We have so much great stuff. It's like, what do you do next? Well, we don't know yet, because we haven't been able to sit down and really think about it, because we have so much other stuff going on. And now we're in the middle of September almost, and now everything has to go on the right side of the stove, because the winter tour is all that matters right now.
Right.
But trust me, we're going to do stuff. And we've got a lot of projects. What one we're going to do next, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're all great, and they're all going to be lovely, and I can't wait.
Awesome.
Here's one from Ashley Taylor, John. It says, is there anything so weird or crazy that happened that you actually backed up and said, no way, this is too insane for me?
That's actually pretty good.
All right. Thanks, Ashley, for that.
Becoming a musician.
There you go. There you go.
That's the truth, really. I could have been a plumber, or an electrician, or a football player, or a baseball player. But no, I chose being a musician. Why? I don't know. Well, I guess it was just in my heart, But, that was just a joke. What was your question?
So I'm
Sorry, Ashley, you know. But no, that was, you know, actually that's the truth.
Right.
I mean, deciding to be a musician when I was 14 or 15, I was a really good athlete, you know, and all that stuff. And then I didn't want to cut my hair. And the football coach at my high school, I was a sophomore in high school, he was like, well, you got to cut your hair or you're off the team. I'm like, screw you, I'm off the team.
I play the exact same way with or without short hair.
And then I went to California Jam and saw Black Sabbath, and that was it.
Yeah.
I was hooked from that moment on.
So I'm curious, as your friend, what is your favorite song that you've ever done, that you've ever written?
Ooh, that's tough.
That's a toughie. Did I ever written alone or wrote with Paul?
Any way you did it, man.
I think When the Crowds Are Gone.
Great song. Yeah.
Because it just, you know, now at where I'm at now in my life, it means so much more. But I thought his lyrics for that song were just unbelievably brilliant.
Yeah, it's one of my faves.
You know, and I think that and Believe are my two favorite Savatage songs.
Nice. Mine too. Believe's definitely one of my faves. My favorite would be Summer's Rain.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
You know, I like them all. You know, it's hard to like. It's like asking Paul McCartney, "What's your favorite Beatles song?" Well, out of what 1,000 are you? You know, they all went number one. So
Yeah, but you always have to have one that really touched your heart. And
Crowds Are Gone really touched me, and Believe really touched me.
I love Believe.
And if I go, especially after Chris passed away, if I go away, Chris was still alive when we wrote that song.
Right.
But after Chris died, every time I would play that song, I could barely get through it because I would just break down in tears.
Whole new meaning for you after that.
And of course, one of my favorite was the last song that Chris and I and Paul ever wrote together at Morrisound was All That I Bleed. And that song has a special meaning to me because it was the last time the three of us were sitting at a piano and came up with that song.
Nice.
And so that one has a special meaning to me as well.
Very cool.
Well, I'm just playing around with my computer here because it keeps going on, up, down, up, down, up, down. So I just wanted to, I wanted to see if there's anything else any of the fans up there are wanting to ask yet.
Tell them I'm
Here's the
old and
time.
I need to go home and go to bed.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us, it's past their bedtime already.
There is a million questions popping
There
up
was a
through here.
million of
There's a
Oh,
ton.
I'm not going to stay here for a million questions.
This is probably, and John, this is to your credit, this is probably the most people I've seen tuning in at one time to
By
the
far.
show. So I thought they
That's
watched
sweet.
it because of me, and now you've just screwed that all up for me. Thanks a lot.
Well, I would watch it
Well,
for you.
thank you, John. Thank you. So I'm going to do this one for Christy Lynn, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit on it. It says, "Hi, John. You must have a bunch of your own personal videos of you and Chris, an unreleased video of Savatage with your brother. There's just not enough available for us to enjoy. YouTube live videos of Savatage during you and your brother era are blurry at best. Any chance of these getting out there to the public?"
Yeah, we have. We've actually gone over some of that footage. And this was in like 2014, 2015. And Paul and I sat and looked at a bunch of this footage. And we were talking about doing something with it. And then, I lost Paul. I lost my best friend. And it just kind of went to the shelf. So I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of footage. We have a lot of footage floating about, but again, it comes down to this thing where, this big monkey wrench was stuffed in our spokes.
Yeah.
unexpectedly, you know, and that just like everything just went like and stopped. So now, you know, we're trying to like, okay, well, this is what we got to do. This is what we got to do. And it's going to be okay. We're going to do it. You know, it just might, you know, everyone's got to give us, you know, a little bit of a break a little bit because we're still mourning. You know I am. And I know Paul's wife, Desiree, is, and his daughter. We're still mourning.
Yeah.
Paul's death. You know, we're still mourning that. And we're all trying to get over that. And we will, you know, but it takes time sometimes, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know.
I don't know if you ever really get over it. I mean, I guess you just learn to live with it. Don't
I
you?
mean,
ways
my
to deal
brother,
with
my
it,
brother
really.
Chris passed away in 1993, and I still am not over it. I still dream about him. He's still in my dreams almost every night, laughing at me.
I always think that's them coming to speak to you because I lost my brother in 2007, and I've dreamed about him, and it was so vivid and real. I'd wake up and I felt like he was communicating with me.
Me too.
So I really believe that's when your subconscious is open
Yeah.
and they're coming to you. I do.
Yeah.
I
I
absolutely
believe that too. You know, Paul is in a lot of my dreams. Chris is in a lot of my dreams. But when they are in my dreams, it's always happy. They're always like joking with me or making me laugh. And like I had this dream where I went into a dressing room and I opened up the door and Paul and Chris were sitting on this couch. And I opened it. I was like, what are you guys doing here? You're supposed to be dead. And they like stood up and they go like laughing at me. They go like, oh, John, we faked it. And then I had to go pee. So the dressing
TMI,
room,
brother,
well, no,
TMI.
the dressing room had a locker.
Oh, I thought you meant literally. This was part of the dream.
Yeah, so I had to go pee. And there was like a locker thing, and I went in there to go pee, and I came back out, and they were gone.
I really think that's them saying, hey, I'm okay. We love you. Thinking about you, and we're okay.
Yeah, it was very deep, man.
Yeah, I really believe that.
That's cool.
See, I want to believe that, but God, some of the dreams I got, I don't know if that's really what they're trying to do or not.
Really?
Yeah, well, I pay him their money and everything. He's still.
It just won't go away.
You guys, I just
exactly.
don't know. I just don't know. And I got to say, because we're sitting at this angle, because we have our guest here tonight, I feel like I just keep seeing Scott. It's like, it's very intense, too. It's like,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
I think
Whoa,
Scott has some serious issues.
Well, John wanted to
say it
sit
like
at the
it's a
table.
bad
Scott,
thing
we just give
tonight.
him
I
hell.
wanted to
Like
sit-
it's a
I
bad
wanted to
thing.
sit at the big boys table.
by myself.
no, I think it's
I thought
great
it was
that you're
great
up
to
here.
have
I
him
think
here,
it's
so-
great. And
Well, we need to have you here as like
I wanted to
guest
feel like
co-host
part of
more
the
often.
panel,
Yeah,
you
You
we
are
want
part
to
of
be
the
a part of it.
panel.
You're all
And
part of it,
we
brother.
can definitely
And
arrange
I
that,
got to
you know?
tell you guys, I'm serious. People just keep coming on here,
I
coming
know,
on here.
it's
It's
crazy.
incredible, John. Seriously,
So,
a lot of people that love you.
Marcelo has a question in regards to Chris. What is your favorite guitar solo that he's ever done?
Ghost in the Ruins,
Wow, you didn't even think.
Yeah.
You didn't have to think about it.
by far.
Great.
Because he did it in one take.
Nice.
Is that one of the ones that Paul's like, oh, we can do it better? Go in there
No,
and
that
tell
was
him?
Gutter Ballet.
Okay.
Gutter Ballet, Chris played the solo for Gutter Ballet in one take. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm sitting at the control desk with Paul. And Paul clicks on and he goes, Chris, I think you could do that a little bit better. Chris goes, fuck you, man. I'm not playing that again. So Paul like taps. He goes like, shoot, can you tell him to play it again? I'm like, I'm not going.
Yeah, what do
there, man."
you think? I know.
There
And
he goes.
Paul clicks back on the thing. He goes, all
good.
right, we're done.
Yep.
Here-
And that's true. It was funny. We had a lot of fun together, the three of us, because we could joke with each other. Paul used to love when I would do like Looney Tunes characters or Three Stooges stuff. When Paul would ever be in a bad mood, I'd go like, or I would do like, no, you idiot.
Well,
And Chris always used to just go like, I'm not doing that.
that was just his normal thing.
Yeah, Chris
Yeah.
was very defiant, the little bastard.
This one's just a statement for you. It says, I have promo LP copies of Power of the Night and Fight for Rock, as well as Keith Collins' copy of Sirens. I can't remember which one John said he would need, but I'll send it to you guys, and he can pick it up there if he wants.
I don't need anything from Keith Collins.
This is Ken Bowser, by the way, that said this. And then here's a question from Kathy. Ask John about the cigarette story and getting kicked out of high school.
Oh, that's when I had to be in high school, and they had a retaining wall in the parking lot at the bottom, and I was cutting class as usual, and I was sitting on the retaining wall, and I had a cigarette, and all of a sudden the vice principal and the security guard came up from behind me, and they're like, oh, and they're like, get rid of that cigarette, and it was a really windy day. So I went, all right. So I went, whoop, and I flicked the cigarette. The wind blew it, and it blew it back down the shirt of the vice principal.
Oh, shit. All right. You can
This is great. It lit his shirt on fire.
Oh, my gosh.
He's going,
Nice.
That was it. That was my last day in high
So
school.
you actually got kicked out for that.
Oh, yeah.
Did he think you did it on purpose?
Forget those guys can't take
or
a
they
joke.
didn't believe
They
the wind did it?
Well, I
You
didn't
watched
do it
it.
on purpose, but I'm glad it happened. Because he was an asshole. He didn't like me at all. Because
There
I
you
had
go.
long hair, and he didn't like me.
So,
I was like, well,
we're just a busy time of year for you, right now. So, I mean, what would you say your days are going to be looking like coming up, once TSO takes off? I mean,
you mean my days before the tour starts?
yeah.
Have you ever seen Hell?
Not that I'm aware of, but I could be living it.
I feel you.
No, I'm just joking. I'm trying to be funny, but I'm not. No, I mean, I'm excited about it. We got a new show this year. We got new pyrotechnics and stuff like that. And, yeah, it's going to be hard work, but I'm glad to do it. I love TSO. I love our family. I'm ready to go, ready to rumble.
When do you get all that stuff started?
I leave for Omaha on the 22nd of October.
Cool.
And I will not be home for 40 years. No. I'll be back on the 17th or 18th of November. I usually go to the first couple shows. But then, then you won't see me around until they come here to Amley.
Yeah.
And Orlando.
Do you do the first couple of shows for both touring bands? Or?
I try to. It depends on where they start at.
Right.
But
I've got a question for you in regards to the musicians that are part of the TSO family. I know a couple of them, Joel Hoekstra, who's a great musician, and I know tragically we lost David Z.
Yeah.
That was with Adrenaline Mob in that car
Right.
crash.
that
that
was
actually
very
happened.
sad.
So how did that? I mean, that probably had quite a profound effect on the TSO family when that happened because he was so young. It was so tragic.
Yeah, I mean, I went there. I went to the crash site that day. I got a phone call. I don't remember who it was. And me and my assistant, Big Dave, we just jumped in my car and drove up there. And it was just horrific.
And they were actually supposed to play State Theater, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
were
I
heading
was
over
I
here,
was
so
going
it was.
to the show. I was going
Oh
to the
wow!
show. It was horrific,
I saw pictures of it. I couldn't
It
believe
was.
the
It, did,
devastation.
it didn't even look like a vehicle.
No.
Oh,
It just looked like a bunch of twisted metal.
I had just had the pleasure of meeting him like a couple months before, and what a genuine.
He was
Kind
a
soul.
great kid, great player, a very good friend of mine. I loved him very much. And, again, it's like, you lose these friends of yours that, what do you do? And then you got to sit down and go like, well, he's with God now. Okay? It was his time to go to God. And now God will take care of him. And that's the way I believe, because you have to believe that.
I think you do. I agree with that. I think you do.
So
So,
I don't know if there's any more you want to add in as far as TSO and.
Well,
stuff
I would
coming up
like you
here.
guys to pay me now, but
Hang on a second. Where's that big check that I had sitting around here?
is that the one for
years,
$1.69?
It's my royalty.
I'm only kidding. I had a really good time being here, and I want to just thank all the fans for writing in, and I love y'all, and everything is going to be fine.
Well, and obviously we want to keep you on board. So I mean, once you're
Well, it's
done
way
with all
past
the,
my bedtime already.
Once we're done with TSO stuff, I mean, you get back around town, and come on in, and
I would love
maybe
to.
we could do this on a regular basis.
Sure. I'd love to do
You
that.
are always
I
welcome,
would love
John,
to
you know that.
antagonize you people more.
So
Cool.
we
Thank
have
you
a-
so
we
much
have-
to everybody for all your questions tonight. We appreciate you tuning in. We're going to go ahead and do the show poll and close things out here and let John get
I mean,
going.
this is a tough call for the show poll.
We could just sit here all night. There's so many.
Easily.
I'm serious.
Ton
There's
of
so
them.
many
I mean-
questions. It's just incredible.
I'm
So-
sorry.
So with that said, which album do you feel was better? I don't have anything in front of me right now, unfortunately.
I ain't read mine.
Well, he does.
Yeah, well, what I need isn't there, unfortunately, but that's all
I
right.
got that too. It's right here.
So the question was, which album do you think is better? Which is gone again. Streets or Gutter Ballet?
Are you asking me?
No, just in
That's our
general.
show
We
poll
just
question.
discussed
So
it.
we
I just got
discussed it.
interrupted 3 times.
Doug, what was your response there, my friend?
I ended up going with Streets.
Doug went with Streets.
I went with Streets as well.
Yeah. John's personal favorite.
Streets was mine.
How about you, Michelle?
I choose Streets as well.
You know,
Wow.
it's a tough call because Gutter Ballet is my favorite song on it. But
Of course.
Streets
Has to be one asshole in the
No,
whole
no,
group.
no. I picked Streets entirely.
This is the
man.
first time we've
Streets is-
ever all agreed.
We've all entirely.
Yeah, this
agreed.
is actually
Yeah.
the first time. Yeah, in the poll,
Yeah.
and we're getting some viewer comments as well. So Travis Floyd says Streets. Angie, much more Gutter Ballet. Wes, Gutter Ballet. Here's Savatage Sue. Hell yeah, Savatage.
So I mean,
Was that
believe
an
it or
album?
not.
No, I think it was just a statement. Hell yeah, Sabotage.
So Streets actually is winning. We're at about 60%.
Well, Streets, if you're a Savatage fan, okay, Gutter Ballet was a great record.
Right.
But if you're a true Savatage fan, Streets offered every side of what Savatage could do.
Yeah, absolutely.
From songs like Agony and Ecstasy to songs like Believe, Somewhere in Time,
Yeah.
Heal My Soul, Jesus Saves, Sammy and Tex, Can You Hear Me Now? It just Streets me why it's my favorite. It's just the most versatile. It shows every side of the band, from the heaviest to the lightest,
Nice.
you know.
Real nice.
So you said earlier too that that's your favorite Savatage album of all time.
Oh,
out of
absolutely,
all.
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, overall, it's such a strong album. It's just incredible. The music, the story behind it, everything about it is just phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, the story
the
was
playing on it is incredible.
The story
It's
was
just-
amazing. That Paul wrote up the story, and he made all the lyrics work, and where it all made sense.
right.
And it was a labor of love. I was up in the studio for 1 year doing that album. Where I actually had to escape on my birthday.
Jeez.
Tell him I'm in there.
No, I bribed the office secretary to book me a flight back to Florida. And they were actually
get me
going to
outta
send.
here.
They were actually sending people to LaGuardia Airport to capture me, but they were late.
That's too funny. That's great.
So cool. Very cool.
So our next show poll for the next show, we're going to be having New York Jets Super Bowl III champion Earl Christie, my friend there. He won the Super Bowl with the great Joe Namath, and we had him in the studio with us a little while back here, and Michelle and I interviewed him. He's a great guy.
He was fun. Yeah,
he's
he
gonna
was
be
great
on our
fun.
next show, and in honor of that, our next show poll is going to be who had the better Super Bowl halftime show, Lady Gaga or Prince. So
Paul McCartney.
So we want to say thank you very much for coming in the studio and talking to us again, my friend.
Thank
We
you,
appreciate you being here. And thanks so much for answering your fans' questions tonight. I know they really appreciated it. Thank you to all the fans. Thank you for the support you've given to John over the years. Thank you for the support you give to us. We appreciate you very much. We've enjoyed having you here, of course, John, and you are always welcome back, my friend. So, and as I just mentioned, coming up on the next show, which is Tuesday, September 24th at 8 p.m., we're going to have special guest New York Jets Super Bowl III champion Earl Christie, and you want to be tuning in. Check that out. He was with the New York Jets.
Jets, Jets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. So we also want to thank Bake More Pies. You know, without the studio here, this obviously could not be happening. And this is a great place. Not just saying that because this is just happens to be our home, but literally, it's a nice studio. It really is a nice studio. I mean,
I love it here.
Not to put you on the spot, but I mean, you've been around. I mean, you've seen some nice places.
Yeah,
this is up there.
This place is great, top of the line.
Yep.
I recommend it to everybody.
Fantastic.
So there you go. Again, you know, Bake More Pies. You know, check us out. Interested in doing any it could be anything from marketing to, you know, it could be podcasts. You know, whatever you decide. These guys
our video
got everything
production
here.
Yep, this is the place. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, and check them out at bakemorepies.com. Cord is a great guy. Thank you so much, Cord.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you, Cord.
So, absolutely.
Thank you, Cord.
So be sure to visit our website at thesoundeffectshow.com where you can see previous shows. You can find out what's coming up on the show calendar. While you're there, be sure to click on the links. Visit our social media pages. Share us, add us, like us, subscribe. Do it. Make it happen. Also, this is the point in the show where I give a shameless plug for myself because I have to do that. So check out my show. It's called Shaking the Rafters with Michelle. It's on rockrageradio.com. You can listen there directly. You can download our app for free. It's an interview show. Now I'm going to have to twist this guy's arm to get him on that show as well. And I got a special guest this Thursday. Mark Guest Scott from Trickster joins me on the show. He's got a new solo project. We're going to be playing that. It's debuting, and we're going to be talking about that. That is Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Very cool.
Any last words you got there, Mr. John?
Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow, my people.
Very cool.
Hey, if you want to get yourself healthier, check out our sponsor at criticallinkhealth.com. Use the code SOUNDEFFECT for 15% off their all-natural products such as CBD, vitamins, and protein powders. I've been using their Accelerate and Vitamin D for a little while now, and I've really noticed a big difference on that. Thanks again for watching. We will see you next time with special guest Super Bowl III champion Earl Christie, Tuesday, September 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So we got our new music showcase. Can you guys tell I've been up
Showball.
really, really long time today? So this song is from a band called Any Given Sin. The song is called Dynamite. Why did I choose this song? Because my friend Mike Bailey from Bret Michaels' band has a label. He's been promoting some music, and he wanted me to check this out when I saw Bret Michaels over at the Hard Rock Live in Orlando, and he was playing some music for me one night, and I thought, that's pretty badass. So that's why I picked that song. and we're going to play that for you tonight. So Any Given Sin, Dynamite, right here on the Sound Effects Show.
Thanks again for watching. Appreciate you. And thanks, John. Appreciate you.
Thank you, John.
Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next
night.
time.
Good night.
Everything going wrong now. Nothing as it seemed was ever meant to be. And I had the world, I held it in my hand, turned it to the ground just to watch it land. If failure was an open book, and I'm the one that took a second look, I got the motivation, like on a situation. I'm like a rocket on the ground. Why don't you blow me up like dynamite? Hold me up to see the light. lost my way to the promised land.